driving organization success, employee selection, and the use of behavioral-based interviewing. Given record low unemployment, employers are exploring ways in which to increase their level of employee engagement in order to reduce turnover. Research indicates that engaged employees lead to better organizational performance, and behavioral-based interviews are a better employee selection process over traditional interview methods. Behavioral-based interviewing is the process of interviewing candidates by asking them to elaborate on previous work experiences or possible situations that would arise at work. Upon completion of our literature review, we identified a gap in the research to support the connection between behavior-based interviews and the employee engagement. The goal of this research proposal is to explore how behavior-based interviewing can lead to increased employee engagement, resulting in a reduction in turnover and improved organizational performance. So what is employee engagement? Employee engagement has many definitions, but the best can be described as employees who are fully physically, cognitively, and emotionally connected with their work roles. As a result of this connection, they carry greater personal responsibility for his or her work role, and several potential outcomes include an increase in employee productivity and organizational performance. So why is employee engagement important? With record low unemployment and competition for talented employees, the need for organizations to have engaged employees is more important now than ever before. According to a Gallup poll conducted in 2016, engaged employees are 21% more productive than disengaged employees. Our research indicates that engaged employees show greater levels of commitment, which result in increased organizational performance. Engaged employees are less likely to leave when there is a strong connection to the goal of the organization. Engaged employees will exert a high degree of energy towards success even if other members of the group are not carrying their weight. And engaged employees feel it is their responsibility to motivate and engage their peers towards meeting the organization's mission and objectives. A study examined the important impact of person-organization fit on work engagement and the impact work engagement has on turnover and intention. Based on the findings, it was concluded that person-organization fit is a strong predictor of work engagement. In addition, people with high work engagement are less likely to quit their jobs. Therefore, hiring the right person who embraces the organization's culture will lead to stronger employee engagement, which leads to an increase in organizational performance. Furthermore, it is critically important for organizations to focus on hiring the right people. According to a 2016 Career Builder national study, 75% of employers admitted to having a bad hire for a person within the last year. The financial ramifications associated with a single bad hire are estimated to be equivalent to his or her annual salary. This does not include the negative impact a hire can have on the organization's morale, productivity, and quality of the services rendered. The employee selection process is a crucial element in ensuring the right people are in the right jobs and are actively engaged in those jobs in order for organizations to gain a competitive advantage. When the employee selection process is done well, organizations hire employees who are tied to the mission and values of the organization. When done poorly, the opposite is true. According to Thibodeau and Jeffords, businesses that do not have a standard interviewing procedure are 5 times more likely to hire someone that is not a good fit. Therefore, the importance of having a standard interviewing process cannot be overstated. There are 3 types of interviews styles utilized today. First is the conventional unstructured, second, the unstructured conventional, and third, the structured behavior. The most common interview style used is the conventional unstructured, which is rather informal and consists of a conversation between the interviewer and the interviewee. Although the conventional unstructured style is the most common, the structured behavioral interview style can be invaluable to predict future behavior patterns. Our research indicates that utilizing a structured behavior-based interview will result in a better hiring decision as the interviewer feels more confident in their decision and there's a better opportunity for cultural alignment. When using behavior-based interview techniques, the interviewer asks the applicant to utilize past behaviors and experience to provide examples to the interview questions and scenarios. Foster concluded that the belief of this approach is that by understanding an individual's previous behaviors and with the knowledge that people repeat behaviors, one is able to predict a person's future behavior. Behavior-based interviewing has been prevalent for decades. It started in the late 1970s by industrial psychologists as they studied traditional interviewing techniques. People can learn and grow, but they most often act in a manner that is consistent with their past behavior. Behavior interviewing is a technique based on the principle that job candidates' past behavior is the most likely predictor of future successes or failures on the job. Questions draw out stories about real-life experiences the candidates have had. This approach will supply a more objective set of facts to make employment decisions than other interviewing methods. A substantial number of Fortune 500 companies use behavior-based interviews since there's a potential for reduced turnover expenses and a possible increase in productivity. These potential cost-saving measures add to the appeal of behavior-based interview techniques because losing the right candidate can be just as costly to the organization. A structured behavior-based interview requires a good amount of preparation in order to be successful. In order to develop the behavior-based questions, the interviewer must first determine what the key behaviors are required for the position in the organization based on a job analysis. In order to do this successfully, it requires a thorough understanding of the job. It requires a thorough understanding of the organization culture. It requires a crafting behavior-based question. It requires crafting an evaluation tool, and it requires consistency. Each candidate will be asked the same question and evaluated the same. It is important to craft questions in a way that will not allow the candidate to provide a hypothetical response. You need to consider beginning all questions with phrases such as, "Tell me about a time," "Give me an example of when," "Walk with me through," "Describe for me." Some examples of questions an organization can consider are, "Tell me about a time when your boss was not satisfied with an assignment you completed." "Give me an example of a time when priorities were shifted on you. How did you react?" "Tell me about a time when you went above and beyond to satisfy a customer." "Walk me through last week and tell me how you planned the week's work." "Describe for me the biggest problem you have had with another member of your work team. How did you handle the situation?" "Tell me about a coworker that broke a rule. How did you handle the situation?" Once the interviewer compiles behavior-based questions, the applicant is required to answer each question by describing a specific event, task, action, and result, abbreviated as a STAR response. This format requires that each applicant for the position is asked the same questions so that the interviewer can compare responses fairly. If a candidate does not respond to the question, the interviewer may continue to rephrase the question until a response is received. At the end of the interview, each STAR response is evaluated, scored, and then the best candidate is selected. For applicants without prior job experiences, they would identify examples in their education, extracurricular activities, or sports to answer the interview questions. In the course of the research, there were several case studies to support the use of behavior-based interviews as the preferred selection method in order to increase employee engagement and improve organizational performance. Morgeson found that during a study based in a long-term care facility that behavioral-based interviews are more accurately predicted a registered nurse's potential for success. A study in the mining industry concluded that person-organization fit is a strong predictor of work engagement and that people with high work engagement are less likely to quit their jobs. A hotel industry study in Australia and Singapore indicated the use of behavior-based interviews resulted in an increase in retention in an industry known for high turnover. A Baptist Medical Center study noted a decrease in turnover from 15% to 11% for the RN population with the use of behavior-based interviews. There is a great deal of literature which touts the benefits of behavior-based interviews in making better hiring decisions. There's also a great deal of literature that indicates the importance of having engaged employees to reduce turnover and improve organizational performance. Based on the literature, it is clear that hiring the right person who embraces the organization's culture will lead to stronger employee engagement, which leads to an increase in organizational performance. Based on our literature review, there is need for further research into the topic as there is a gap that links behavior-based interviews to an increase in employee engagement, resulting in improved organizational performance. A research study determining how behavioral-based interviewing can positively impact employee engagement by selecting the right applicant would be a significant start.